Acting Secretary, it's really delightful to see you, and I just want to tell you how proud I am of you. Your dignity and grace today just reconfirms, if I can use that language, my history with you. Your intelligence, your competency is on display here today, and it would be a really sad state for this country and this Congress if you're not confirmed, given your qualifications and your presence here today. Been some talk about California. I was not in the legislature when AB 5 was passed, but I was the former chair of the Senate Labor Committee when we did much of the groundwork for that, when we were trying to work with the private sector. And as somebody from the Bay Area, we wanted to work with the tech industry to understand what the proper classification was and not have people take advantage of that. And I say this as a long time, 35 years, California small business owner who's made hundreds of payrolls and always respected my employees, that we were trying to get this right, but I had to compete against employers who didn't play by the rules, including hiring people illegally. And we did work about that, holding employers who are flouting the laws, and you were part of that discussion, accountable for hiring people who shouldn't have been hired, who I had to compete with. So the numbers about unemployment tell one part of the story, and the unemployment rate in California, there's a big spike because of the tech industry. I would argue they were taking advantage under the guise of innovation, and there's a correction right now. But in the context of numbers, data from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis shows that California has the highest GDP in the nation at around $3.5 trillion. And apart from the inevitable decline during the early days of COVID, California's economy only grew during your time as Secretary of California Labor and Workforce Development. Isn't that right?
Again, Congressman, I'm not familiar exactly with that, but I trust that you have your facts correct.
It's right. We clearly didn't coordinate these questions. In fact, during your tenure as Secretary of California from 2008 through 2020, total growth in employment outpaced national employment, total growth. Median household income, which is particularly important given our inequality, increased faster over nearly 10 years than it did nationally. Real gross domestic product in California rose by 30% to $2.7 billion, nearly double the amount by which national GDP rose during that same time period, which was 16.5 nationally. An analysis by Bloomberg News, quote, California's gross domestic product increased 21% during the past 5 years, dwarfing number 2, New York, 14%, California, 21%, New York at 14%, and number 3, Texas at 12%. Among the 5 largest economies, California outperforms the US, Japan, Germany, with a growth rate exceeded only by China, and California, if it was a country, would be the 4th largest economy in the world. We far exceed every other state in patents and innovation. This economic success has followed you to the White House. Since you've been at the Department of Labor, the economy has added more jobs than during any other entire administration in recent memory, and we're not even halfway through the first term. What policies of the Biden administration have you led that have helped lead to these levels of job creation and our national unemployment rate hitting historic lows?
Thank you very much, Congressman, for your question. As has been said here, the last 2 years under the Biden-Harris administration have seen record growth in multiple measures of a healthy economy and defied multiple expectations. At the Department of Labor, our role is incredibly important in a moment where we both have job growth and economic recovery on the one hand, and needing to connect people to good jobs and employers to the workers they need, as well as to make sure that every worker works in a healthy and safe environment and goes home safely at the end of the day and gets the wages that they're earned. Those are the fundamental responsibilities of the Department of Labor. And over the last 2 years as Deputy Secretary, working alongside Marty Walsh, we worked very hard to do all of those things to fulfill our mission, to make sure that we were helping to rebuild the unemployment insurance system coming out of the ashes of the pandemic, making sure that we are investing in innovative, place-based, sector-specific training programs that are going to meet employer needs and meet worker needs, expanding apprenticeships, as I've already mentioned, and working hand in hand with employers and workers to help to take advantage of these very historic investments that are being made to rebuild our economy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you, Mr. DeSaulnier.